Alrighty, is everybody ready? Learn about AI? I got an awesome video to show you. I think this should really set the stage for our session. So just 2 minutes on listening to some different AI industry leaders talk about how AI is starting to come into the market, businesses that are not leveraging this technology, how it's impacting them. And then we'll get into just a couple slides, and most of our presentation will be live demo. So with live demos, things can go wrong. Like we're gonna hope that everything goes right, and you'll see me bouncing around, grabbing some prompts, so you don't have to be watch type stuff out for 100 characters. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and hear some different AI leaders talk, like Satya Nadella, the CEO of Google, as well as NVIDIA.
Information, knowledge, communication, computation. In this revolution, creation has exploded like never before. And now a new wave is upon us, artificial intelligence.
A new artificial intelligence program called ChatGPT made its debut online. It's as revolutionary as the internet.
The topic of today's big take is also Microsoft and its big bet on AI and how it just kind of leapfrogged over Google and no one kind of knew about it until now.
Develop better software, and so artificial intelligence is affecting everything that we do. And it's going to impact everything that every industry out there. So it's the single most important thing we do.
The ability to work well with AI and take advantage of it is now, more important than understanding Excel or the internet.
I've said this before, AI is one of the most profound things we are working on humanity. As humanity, it's more profound than fire or electricity or any of the other bigger things we have worked on.
Alrighty, so pretty bold statement there from the CEO of Google, more profound than fire, water, electricity. But I think if you look at AI at its core, what it can help you do as a business, it really is there to revolutionize. Now, to kind of go on the other side of the coin, they say about 85% of AI deployments fail, and there is reasons for that. So if you did take our session earlier today, we talked more about how to assess the right AI tools, how to incorporate those into your business, other technologies. So definitely consider a few things when incorporating AI. Does it meet the needs of your team? Is it a scalable solution? And how can you leverage it? But today is not an AI session. Today we're going to focus more specifically on leveraging AI for specific processes like commission and sales reports, understanding how to use Microsoft Copilot within your ecosystem to boost productivity, as well as leveraging more advanced AI capabilities within the Microsoft realm. So I'm not going to be going through every AI tool out there. I'm going to be focusing on Copilot. It is one of my favorites, and I'll explain why in a couple seconds. Before we do jump in, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Tim Blake. I'm the CEO of BBB Techs, and I'll be the pilot on our Copilot journey today. And before we get started, I got a corny joke for you. Why did AI cross the road? Does anybody know? To optimize its pathfinding algorithm. All right, let's go through today's agenda. So, like I mentioned, my name is Tim Blake. I've been supporting rep agencies since 2013 now. We're supporting over 25 rep firms by helping them implement custom technology solutions. I am a Microsoft certified trainer myself, as well as an AI technical specialist, and really our organization is focused on helping companies adopt technologies that meet the needs of their business. We're not product pushers. I'm not trying to sell you on one thing. We partner with multiple different CRMs, quoting systems. It's all about what works best for your business. And again, what is our company? What do? We focus on data automation, workflow optimization, Power BI and reporting, ELT, Exchange Transform Load, data modeling, Fabric engineering, Rep Fabric, Microsoft Fabric. We are trusted partners with Microsoft and Lenovo, and we do Microsoft 365 integrations. But this isn't a sales pitch, so let's talk about how AI can help you. So when we say AI today, AI is technology that recognizes patterns, summarizes huge amounts of information to answer questions based on data that it gives you. Think about it like having your own personal analyst sitting next to you ready to answer questions. How many of us here use ChatGPT, Gemini, some type of AI tool? All of us have probably touched it in the past couple of years. I think OpenAI came out 4 years ago from Sam Altman, and when it did, 8 million people signed up when it started, and I'm sure all of us in some capacity have used it. But how does it actually integrate in our workday? How do we get better, smarter, faster? So with AI being an analyst that doesn't sleep, doesn't blink, and can scan thousands of rows of data instantly, then politely tell you the 3 things that you actually need about, Copilot's version has access to our work data, which can allow us to easily tap it and access that information almost instantly. So if you are a Microsoft shop, definitely going to be aligned to what you're talking about. If you're someone who does use Google or some of those other products like Slack, definitely good to stay in the session, learn more about what it can do and its capabilities. But really, we're going to be focusing on that Microsoft tech stack today, using our Microsoft data. And literally with AI, like we talked about, it uses natural language processing. So you ask it a plain question in English and it generates a response. But what I will say is AI has been trained to always give you a response. So it is known to hallucinate. Make sure you ask it questions, you follow up, you validate what it's giving you. Do not blindly trust it. It's getting better, but it's not quite there in terms of being 100% accurate. AI can help you summarize giant spreadsheets, detect trends, even help you forecast or prep for line reviews. So today we're going to be looking at some AI-specific use cases around Microsoft Copilot within that forecasting realm, especially around using commissions and sales sheets. I will give you a general overview of Copilot, but I think there are some other breakout sessions here that focus on it in Microsoft Teams or Outlook. Today, really, we're looking at the data component and analyzing large amounts of information. So what is Microsoft Copilot? And I always like to share this one slide to give a higher level overview of how it works, because I really do think Copilot outshines a lot of the other ones in the market. Microsoft Copilot is an AI assistant designed to handle repetitive, time-consuming work so that you can focus on higher value tasks. One thing that you might not know is that Copilot is powered by the same GPT-4 and GPT-5 technology that drives ChatGPT. So it's literally the same chat engine in Microsoft's ecosystem. It doesn't have some of the features ChatGPT has, but for the most part, that underlying technology is the same. What makes Copilot so different in the business setting is that it's embedded directly into Windows 11 and to your Microsoft 365 applications that you might use every day. It has its own features inside of Word, where you can have it create documents. It has its features inside of Teams, like summarizing meeting notes and being able to compare and ask questions about meetings that might have been recorded or transcription, tracking notes in OneNote. So aside from that standard conversational AI where you ask it questions, it has app-specific features in the Microsoft ecosystem. We're going to look at leveraging some of those in Excel today, but again, 2 different components. It functions a little bit differently in apps versus how it functions inside of the conversational AI. So we're going to talk about this in a lot more detail. There are multiple flavors of Copilot. There is that chat where you can ask it questions, and there also is those something called productivity agents or Copilot agents, where you can create these to streamline a workflow and reference data. So we're going to look at setting up an agent in just a moment. Agents are like instructing an AI bot to do something for you. Are you creating standard operating procedures? Do you want it to analyze mass amounts of information and compare products? Are you creating SOWs constantly? You want to fill in the blank like an order taker. Think about generic AI as like your general practitioner, where an agent is like your oncologist or your cardiologist, right? I'm setting it up for a specific thing, I'm going to it for a specific problem. And I always like to talk about this because I want to give you an unbiased opinion. There are other AI tools in the market, like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, which you see up on the screen. Some of these are very similar to what that Copilot conversational AI can do, but where Copilot outshines is those app-specific features and the fact that it has access to your Microsoft data already. So emails, team chats, meeting recordings, content within your Microsoft ecosystem that you have access to, it has access to, and it can pull all that. No other AI tool can do that right now and boast the security that Microsoft does. They will never share your information to train their models. It never leaves your system. It's sitting on top of the data that you already store and trust in Microsoft. That's why it's one of my preferred tools, because of how secure it is. I won't lie, it's not as advanced as some of the ones, like necessarily Claude or Gemini, because they can continue to push new features. Because of those guardrails of security, it's not necessarily moving as quickly as some of the other ones. It has a lot of the standard features that you'll see today, but just wanted to call that out. And I like to think of security like brakes on the car. Does anyone know why brakes are on a car? Do we have any guess? How many people think say stop or slow us down? So brakes on the car actually help you go faster, because if you don't have brakes, you're not going to go more than 20 without crashing. So think about security in those guardrails like brakes on the car, because you can't hit 100, 120, I don't know if anyone's driving Ferraris, 160 without brakes on a car. So let's go ahead and quickly take a look at Copilot. Now this is a subscription, so if you have Microsoft already, you would need to turn on that license. It's about $35 per user per month. Once it's turned on, there is a desktop version of Copilot as well as a web version. I'm going to be demoing from the desktop, but you can also go to m365.cloud.microsoft to access the same portal. Like I mentioned, we have the same conversational AI component. So on the left-hand side here, we have our different Copilot tools. One is search. So Copilot has an advanced search mechanism using AI to search for documents. Let's say I search the word commissions. And a lot of this will be changing your habits, folks. But as I look for those words, it's going to use AI to look inside of the documents as well as the name, search different SharePoint team sites, my emails, content in my calendar to help me access information quicker. We also have our standard chat. This is that conversational AI I just mentioned to you, where you can interact with it like ChatGPT. Let's go ahead and ask it a question. So I'm going to take my prompt and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to Copilot and I'm going to say, show me all Excel files I received via email or accessed in the past month that are related to sales or commission reports. Put them into a table with a file name, last updated date, and a brief description of each file. What this will do is start to pull that data all across what I have access to. If I don't have access to it, it can't see it. So if it's my colleague's OneDrive or their SharePoint, if I don't have access to it, it's not going to return that result. Now, right now, by default, it uses its GPT-5 model, which takes a little bit longer to think. So if you want to just get quick responses, you can always just hit this little button here, which will fire off a response a little bit quicker. So right here, it's going to look for only Excel files. It's going to show me all those paths. It puts it into a table, updated December 2nd. Here's one of our customers' reports, and it gives me some notes. So it's returning that information near real time. Probably would have been better to let it think a little bit longer, so I'm not forcing it to give me a response quickly. But I think you can see how powerful it is. We also get sources down here at the bottom, where I can see where that information is coming from. I can click them and open that file immediately. So no more hunting, pecking, digging, looking for information that might have been shared via email, OneDrive, Outlook, Teams chat, and more. One thing I would encourage you to do too, that I don't do as well, which I'm getting better and changing my habits. A lot of this is changing how you work and really instilling these healthy habits, is searching the web. So before I go to Google and I look up what is MAFSI's conference and what's their schedule. Instead, I could go to Copilot here and I could ask it a question. Let's head on over to my chat and I'll say, what is MAFSI? When's their next conference? Now, last time I did this demo, the conference hadn't started yet. But heading over to the web tab, that will search the internet in real time. So what is MAFSI? When is their next conference? Has registration open? And what is their upcoming event? So Manufacturing Agents Association of Food Service, here's the conference dates, here's the location, is registration open? Yes. And then I can say, well, what's their schedule? Who are some of the speakers? So as long as that information is there, I can do it much quicker. Rather than going to the internet and hunting and searching. If you do have the full version of Copilot 2, just to give you a little extra insight, if I were to go to the MAFSI website here, good morning. And if you have to be using Edge for this, so definitely make sure you're in the right browser. They're not going to put their AI tool inside Bing, or excuse me, inside Chrome. You can click on the Copilot symbol up here and you can ask it questions directly about this web page. Help me find out who the key speakers are, leader of this organization. Maybe you're looking up different product lines in your territory. You're doing some research. You can use this to help you research and export to PDF or other tools. So definitely a good way to get AI embedded right into any place you are in your browser. Separately, we've looked at work versus web. I think one of the most powerful features of using Copilot is being able to reference content specifically. So I could come in here and I could say, tell me more about this / This will let me pull specific content in my organization. I can pick an Excel file, like this commissions report, and what are the products listed? Be helpful if I could type a little bit better. So anytime you're prompting, there's this concept of prompt engineering. Has anyone heard of that? So prompt engineering is 4 key things. It's goal, context, source, and parameter. The goal is what do you want AI to do for you? In this scenario, I want it to tell me about this file. The context is giving it more than just the goal, the products listed. The source is what I'm referencing. Microsoft, you can actually / and reference a particular item. Can't do that with other things that are outside the ecosystem. And then parameters are guardrails. I didn't put any on this one, but I could say, put it in a table, less than 100 words, giving me more accurate and more realistic insights. Here, notice how it's showing the product categories. It's listing them out. Maybe I want to know distributors. What were some of the trends? We're going to dive deeper into this as we're going through. Just want to give you a high-level sense of what Copilot is and how it operates. Any questions so far?
Can the / also point to a folder?
Yeah.
So you can get all the documents within a folder?
Yes, sir. So if you were here and you're clicking your plus and you go to add work content, notice how it brings me to this. If I take the name of the folder, it's not going to come up. But if I click this little OneDrive symbol, and I know it can be confusing because it's a OneDrive symbol, and most of your content is probably stored in SharePoint, I can locate that SharePoint site down here, find the folder I'm looking for, select it, and insert that directly into my conversation to access that information. Say, what are the documents in here? Help me summarize all the PDFs into one combined report. Analyze all these different product sheets that we have and tell me all the ones that start with A. So you have to be creative. Think about how you can integrate it into your day, but yes, it has those capabilities.
So, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I've done that before, where I actually went to SharePoint and got the
Copy. Yep.
the path. And it would work 2 or 3 times, and then it would stop working, and it would go to folders that was not part of the path. Is there a more secure way to stay on the same folder every time?
No, because you have to reference it every time you're going to prompt it or tell the AI agent to look at that. What you would want to do is a little bit more with agents. So if you're using that information a lot, we're going to look at agents in a little bit, so we'll get back to that. But quick questions, chat, agents, specialists. And then we also have some other tools like libraries. We're not going to get into that today. This is where you can kind of create some pages that you can share that can be interactive. Think about it like OneNote. You have notebooks here, which are great for projects. So if you wanted to organize all of your chats, all the conversations that you have into one project, you can put them here. And then you also have Create, which is like their version of Canva. If anyone here has heard of Canva, you can create some of this cool newsletters. You can actually build videos within here. So if you need like a quick marketing one, I mean, you're getting this stuff done in now minutes versus hours. And then you have other tools that you can access within Microsoft here, but that just gives you a quick high-level overview. Now, we talked a lot about this chat component. We're going to interact with that more, but I do want to mention that Copilot does have app-specific features. So inside of Outlook here, if I'm actually drafting a new email, for example, I have my Copilot button here at the top, and I could say, draft me an email to XYZ person asking for time to meet, and it will build that for me. Separately, what I could do is I could start a new email. A lot of times I like to type this myself. I could say, hi, Steve, can you please get me the report? Right, I'm typing quick. Instead of using your draft, which creates everything from scratch, you could simply just highlight this and use this rewrite button, and then I could talk to Copilot, and I could say, clean this up and ask for time to meet on Friday. Now I'm using AI to quickly rewrite my already written email. Sometimes I know that I need to type this out. I can't just use some quasi-AI generated response. I need to put the effort into it. But that rewrite versus draft, 2 separate features, not a lot of people know that exists. These are app-specific features though, different than that conversational AI component. These help you within your day-to-day productivity. We're actually gonna look at some of that in Excel in a moment, focusing on sales and commissions, still just laying our foundation. Separately, Microsoft has done a good job at putting that conversational AI everywhere you go within the Microsoft realm. So at the top, I have this Copilot button. When I click it, it opens that chat right within email for me. So I could go to an existing email and let's look up commissions again. Let's go to an email that has a couple files on it. All right, I'm pulling up, but that's fine. It'll know which email I'm on right now, so I can say summarize this email chain and draft a reply to Chica asking to add some of these to my to-do. So it's going to look at the email I already have highlighted. I don't need a / because I'm in the app version of it. But I do have that full AI chat. This is another way I could draft emails right in the chat here. I could also reference files and say, draft me an email to my client based on this / PDF on this email thread, replying in a simple language. So I'm able to pull content, reply, use a full conversational AI without having to jump around to a different tool like ChatGPT or Gemini, and then generate my responses right away. Which I think is a real power of this tool, is how you can get all that information instantly. And then you have your quick hitters. Now again, it's not a Copilot training, I could talk about all these features for hours. You do have other app-specific features directly within inside of Microsoft Teams. So if you are doing like a recording, you can access meeting recordings and content. You have your chat right inside the Teams tool here. Help me catch up on unread Teams messages. If you are in Microsoft Teams as well, you have it right here in the top right-hand corner you can pull from. A lot of great things that you can leverage here. And then inside of like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, you have some of those app-specific features at the top, like summarizing, you can draft, and we also have that same Copilot that follows us around where we can chat and interact with it. How long is this document? Help me add a section on XYZ from this email chain. So get creative with it, think about how you can use it outside the box, but I do want to switch gears to Excel and talk about how we can use this for data and data forecasting. Yes?
Quick question. So on the data side, if we use Dropbox, for example, it wouldn't look into the Dropbox. You'd have to move that into OneDrive.
Yeah, or SharePoint.
Okay.
But are you a Microsoft customer already?
Yeah.
So one of my things to you would be consolidation of the platforms. You're probably paying a couple $1,000s a year for Dropbox as it is. You already pay for SharePoint. Why pay for the same thing twice? Dropbox is also less secure. So you want it to be able to pull that data. There is ways you could, like there's workarounds using Copilot Studio, but now you're using another tool that can be more expensive and have additional cost than just the standard Copilot license. Yep, good question. So how many of us have seen a report like this before? Does this look familiar? And reading these things can be a pain in the butt, right? And really diving in and knowing. So inside of Excel, you have, I'm not an Excel expert, I'm not gonna get into formulas and creating formulas and all that stuff today, but when I click into a cell here and I right click, I do have Copilot available to me. Typically, it has to be saved to the cloud. I know what's going on here. Save as, say this Excel workbook. So if you want to use Copilot in documents or in Excel, they do need to be saved to a cloud location unless you're drafting. But if I go ahead and I right click this cell here, I have Copilot suggestions. So it can allow me to just get some quick actions like summarize this column for me, explain this formula, like why did the team write this code this way? But for today's demo, I'm gonna look at this from more like a thought leader perspective, and I'll go to the chat here in Copilot. It already knows what information I'm working with. Now, one thing I will say when it comes to using Excel, everything needs to be in a table before it can read that data. So if it's just a flat one, you're gonna have to do Control-T, turn it into a table, and then you can start asking questions. You also need to have your table selected when you are asking questions about it too. So I can't just come in here willy-nilly, it wants to know what data set I'm looking at. Now I have a couple fun questions that we can ask here. Let's go back to my little workbook, and I'll say, what are the top 3 trends in this table? Now, I've set this up when I've tested this. I know that these prompts work. You might not have prompts that work and you're gonna have to tweak them and change them. And with Excel, you have to be very specific. Reference the column name, reference potentially the row that you're looking at. If it's multiple worksheets, if you're creating a pivot table, which worksheet you want to put it in. But most of us are just analyzing information. So here I'm saying, what are the top 3 trends in this table? It's gonna look through this Brasscraft Commissions report. I didn't wanna share you anything in the MAFSI space, but I only have proprietary data. But this is one of our sample in the plumbing, very similar to how you folks operate. Because it's working with a large data set, it's gonna take a minute. So it's saying, look, we have widespread declines year over year in sales of units. There's a large negative trend for our line variances. We have isolated pockets of growth. So now it's helping me say, oh, my fittings and service parts are getting better. Maybe I look into that a little bit more and why. Help me understand my orders and past due amounts, relatively small. And then I could say, you know what, help me turn this into a pivot table or something else. But right now we're looking at one data source. I know a lot of us have a lot of commission reports, so I will talk about how we can analyze multiple at once. But let's just stick to, we got one report, we have some questions. So let's head back over here, I got another question. Which wholesale category has the most growth? while this is pulling up, any questions so far?
You said it has to be a table, it can't be a flat file.
No, you have to put that CSV into a table, but you can just copy and paste it, Control A, Control T, and then put it into the table in a couple seconds.
And you can read multiple tables at the same time, if you have a workbook with multiple tables.
So that's one of the limitations with Copilot in Excel. If you're using this add-in, it's got to look at the table you have highlighted.
Okay.
You could / reference it in chat and ask questions, but then it's going to be looking at a larger set of data and could be a little bit more cumbersome to return poor information. And that's what we'll look at agents to in a minute. So you can notice right here how it's answering the questions, make this a little bit bigger. Average unit growth service parts. Well, why is it 1,000%? You probably want to check that out a little bit. But service parts are growing. We can look at some of our other growing lines and maybe focus on these. If we have buy sell, keep track of them, and just get a better insight of what information we're getting back as a rep agency. Let's go ahead and try one more prompt together. So now I want to say, you know what? Give me a table of total sales broken down by sold to city and sold to name. Now I'm referencing the column names at the top. Being specific, I can even say look at column D if I'm not getting the response that I want. Remember, specificity is very important with Excel. This is one of the Copilot tools that I've seen kind of wildly come back to you and say, well, what table are you looking at? It can create pivot tables, it can create charts, still a little finicky, but look here at how it pulls the customer data, like shipped to, sold by city, sold to customer, total sales by that, and it gives me that quick insight. And I can even plop it into a new sheet if I wanted to analyze that information. I could say something like, which products are trending upwards? I'm not known to have been a good typer, so thank God for spell check, it isn't today. And this can help with a little bit of forecasting, what's going up, what's going down, help me look at it via an arrow. And it may come back with a question. But this is a really good example for analyzing one specific file, right? And I know the challenge we get is we're looking at multiple specific files. So if I just want to dive deep, maybe someone sent me something via email, here I go, I can see service parts, push connects, get all of my information, key insights, it'll give me some stuff back here and I can continue to work with it. I can even say, turn this into an email, I can share with my team and then insert it right into my email. So I'm using AI to do all the heavy lifting for me. But I'm glad you guys asked, how do I do this with multiple files? So I'm sure we have this kind of scenario, and I hope in our organizations, we kind of have this folder structure of all of our different line cards, and in our line cards we have these commission reports that we're copying, and we're looking at these different commissions. We probably track them for years over years, right? One thing you can do is you can build something called an agent. And does anyone remember what agents are? Specialists, exactly. They help us do specific tasks, but you can't become a specialist without going to school. So if we go over here to our agents, I have one that's done. We're not going to look at that yet. We're going to create one together. So if I press create agent here, it's going to bring me to my screen to start building it. Now, if you are creating these, I recommend you take your time. You put some thought into it. Heck, even ask ChatGPT how you can create the agent, what are some things to look for, and feed it. But we're going to start with a simple one that I have called our sales and commission coach. I'll give it a name. Thank God there's no spelling bee today. Let's go back. So here I have an already example of an agent instructions, because I don't think you want to sit here and watch me type out 6,000 characters. You definitely want to use more information. So the description is just kind of a friendly name because you can share these with other people that have a Copilot license. So what's the purpose of this agent? But then down here are the instructions. What should it do? What's its purpose? What should it look at? What should it not look at, right? This is you defining what the goal of this agent is and how it can be purpose-built for things that you're doing in your organization. So I kind of have the sample instructions here. I'm telling you information about our folders. Like I said, specificity is very, very important. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to say some things like each line, any word that says the mention of line equals a manufacturer. If the word product is brought up, it means this, right? Or look at specific manufacturers that I work with, and it says these key terms, recognize it as this, so when I ask that question, it can return the response, right? Standardized key columns if needed, commissions as net commission, sales amount, metadata, so like look at file name, folder line. So there's a lot of things in here that I put in my instructions. I generated also ChatGPT and some of my knowledge, but use prompts, load all Excel files in XYZ folder. When I ask for forecast, use X amount of months for that forecasting, not all the files that are in this folder path. Then, once you've set your instructions and you've given that specialist its guardrails and you've taken the time, then you can choose your data sources that it's going to pull from. So do I want it to be able to look on the internet? Probably not for this one. Do I want it to only use specified sources, or can I let it grab all of the data within Microsoft 365? I want it to stick to commissions. So here what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll look for that same folder that I showed you a moment ago. I'll go to my SharePoint, and if I want to make my life easier, I could have just copied a link to this too. I'll show you how to actually get there. You actually want all the sources. So I could just copy that link and bring it over. But effectively, I can click on SharePoint. Oh, little OneDrive cloud icon, apologize. Go to our location here. So this one is, I believe, under partnerships, associations, that's what it is. And then we have MAFSI, and then we have 2026 conference, breakout sessions. Stick with me, breakout session 3. This is 2, right? All right, we're getting there together, guys. Here we go, breakout session 2. And now I have my commissions folder. So I select that as the data source, and I add that to my agent. So now it's only gonna look at that data. I say only use specified sources. I can have it reference org info, that's fine. Who's in our company, as long as your company org is set up. Do I want it to be able to create documents in code? Sure, and that's okay. Images, no, I don't want it to kind of go out. And then I can give it some suggested prompts that I might use frequently. Just think about these as templates. They're nothing, it's not doing anything, it's just so you can click it really quickly. So I'll go through and grab some of my suggested ones, and I'll say, top sellers. We'll go to summarize. Line performance. All right, now we have line performance. So notice how there's just put those as like quick little prompts for me, almost like what you can see at the bottom of Copilot when it's suggesting a response for you. Just building this agent that's a little bit easier. When I'm ready, I can go ahead and click create, and this will build that agent based off of all the configurations that I gave it. I know that was a lot and I went pretty quick. Is there any questions about building that agent and kind of what I did when it comes to referencing the sources and instructions? Or
is an agent similar to a memory? You know, the terminology is memory.
Yes and no. I mean, I would say it's more of something that you're giving it for very specific tasks. Like you're saying, don't look at any other information, only look at this, and I only want you to focus on this. Because, like I said, AI is designed to give you a response. And with the standard chat up here at the top that we looked at in the beginning, it's looking at every single thing that you have access to. So it might look at bad data, it might look at an Excel file that's not accurate, it might look at things that you don't want it to pull information from. It might look at your email and say, oh, the word commissions, let me return something. Here I'm saying, you are only looking at this folder with our existing reports, your only job is to do this. It's like, you know, you can go to your general mechanic or you can go to someone that specializes in small engines.
So the moment you drop a Excel sheet into the folder, does it instantly read it and analyze it?
Correct. So in this scenario, we're pretending that we have someone that works at our company. They're constantly uploading our Excel reports to the same file. We've had this process for years. We have that storage and that architecture built. Now we're saying, well, we've done the good legwork. If you don't, you can create that, and then you reference it in your agent. And then you say, that person who's been doing my sales and commission in my organization, what's all that institutional knowledge you get? Let's put that as their agent's instructions. What do you look at when you're analyzing these reports to give them to me? How do you understand the data? What columns do you have to merge together and delete? What columns are jumped? And then you just build it out. And you keep tweaking it and refining it. And then you get to a point like this, where it's going to look at all of that, and I could say, an example prompt, like, what is my top selling product line, and who are my top customers, and what sales did I have in the past 6 months by customer? Now, because it's an agent, it's a specialist, it's got to think a little bit harder. So it's going to take a little bit longer to generate a response. It's not as quick because it's not just saying, hey, let me just give you what you want. Let me give you what you're telling me to give you. So now it's looking across our Aladdin reports, Crown Variety, Pro. You can even see pulling that information. It's trying to process what I asked it to, or it's even using pandas, which is data science code. And then it's going to return a response for you that's pretty accurate. Now, you have to train it, you have to teach it.
Question. Does all of the data within each of the workbooks need to be formatted on each other?
No, not in the workbooks, but it needs to be in Excel format or a CSV. It can't be like 98 Excel, it's going to get confused. So, but notice how here it says Aladdin, total sales, Crown Variety, total sales, Perlick, total sales. It's showing you my top commissions by line combined. It's giving that information in near real time. I mean, we've been on the demo for what, 30 minutes, 35 minutes? And you watch me build one of these. Now, obviously, I know it's set up to be a demo, but I think you can kind of see the power of these tools as you get creative with them and you start to use them. And part of it's just change, folks. I know we all, as humans, don't like to change, but as we do start to instill these healthy habits, we become a lot stronger as an organization, as a workforce. And that's just a simple agent one. Let's see if there's any other commands. I know we're getting close on time here. I could even say, like, can you give me more insights into what's driving this trend and the underlying data? Also, is this product we have for the most activity journals? So we looked at 2 use cases. We looked at looking at an Excel file, taking it from email, asking it questions. We looked at an agent for analyzing multiple sets of data with specialties. But what happens when you need something a little bit more? When you need something a little bit more, you have to move to another tool called Microsoft Fabric. And Microsoft Fabric is Microsoft's unified data engine. Now, I'm going to get a little techy here. I'm not going to lie. It might be a little overwhelming, but it's also important that you understand how this is a crucial role. So Microsoft Fabric is Microsoft's unified data platform, and it allows you to pull information in, allows you to run code on it, do data science, data optimization. I can store that data. There's a lot of complex data things that I can do here. So if you have very complex processes and you have multiple sets of data from different systems, like a CRM, like your commission reports, like your accounting system, and you want to be able to bring them in together, have it be clean and analyzed, and have an expert do data engineering, link tables together, create relationships, you need to use a tool like this, because now you're getting beyond what an agent is going to do. It's much more complex. You're talking lots of information, and tools that analyze that information have to be tweaked and configured. That's what we specialize in here at BBB. So this is an example, though, of one data flow. We're not pulling data from anywhere except for sales and commission reports in SharePoint. So this is a company that really said, hey, we have a lot of guardrails around our sales and commissions. We really want to make sure our leadership gets real-time information. So we set up a similar process to an agent where we hook up to a SharePoint site here. We find what that line is. This one's Toto here. Maybe there's 5 different types of Toto sheets that we get. So that adds more complexity to it too. We combine all those. We run some formulas on it using both DAX and then like C#, like other types of like actual code. Once it combines it, it then stores it. So like here's American Bath Group. I think you can see the data flow. It goes into a consolidated sheet, and then we put it into a warehouse here that allows us to have that data sit in different silos so we can call upon it natively. Once it's in that warehouse, then we have to ask it questions and how we want to call upon it. That's called a semantic model. After the semantic model, we break it apart, so now it's more simplified, because imagine asking a question about a bajillion lines of data. Now that so we took it, we made it better, we stored it, then we simplified it again. Then we can turn it into something like a report. So if you're in our first session, I talked a little bit about data visualization. So this is where I can use these advanced machine learning, AI capabilities, and Fabric to really cleanse and model my data. And then I can turn it into a leadership report like this, where I can see that information, right? And I can see it in real time. And then I can jump between it and I can look at it. Now, I don't want to talk too much about these reports today. That's just to show you how Microsoft Fabric can use all of those components. But really what I'm trying to drive to is you can actually then create a Copilot agent on top of that data. So imagine having someone come in like us. We come in, we clean up all your data, we put all these rules on it, we really organize it, and it's only set to this one silo of information. Then I can use Copilot Studio, which is their most advanced AI creation tool, and I can say, only look at this data set that we customized. A specialist came in, they organized it, they sat with our company, they made it perfect as much as it could be. Now, similar to an agent, only look at that, but also train on it, learn from its mistakes, and teach itself with machine learning. So this is a Copilot Studio agent only looking at that long graph that I just showed you a second ago. That's only what it's focusing on. So I can come here and ask some same questions like, how many AJs did I have in the month of December? And the cool thing about this is because we can tap into other data sources, like if you have a CRM, I can pull that into Fabric. If you have a quoting tool, I can pull that in. So it can look at all of that information in that one data set that's clean and organized. Where an agent, like I showed you a moment ago, or a standard one, can only look at your Microsoft data. But again, this is a lot more complex, but this is here going to be pulling from a CRM, it'll be pulling from a quoting tool, it'll be pulling from commission reports, as well as some accounting information. And it's very specialized and built on that particular data model.
These don't have to be all Microsoft based.
Nope.
Salesforce.
Correct.
Kind of like middle ground.
Yep. Correct. So Fabric is that unified data platform, like I said. That's what allows you to come in and connect to all those different places and then cleanse that data with a specialist. And typically people turn it into that report. But when Copilot came out, Microsoft said, well, you already did this hard work to get those, to get all those data sources connected, like Salesforce, whatever it might be. Now let's put AI on top of it because that data is wicked clean. It's very accurate. You paid someone maybe tens of thousands of dollars to build that process. And if you want to put AI on it, now they made it easy to, just like I showed you. So look how it pulls my AJs for me. This is pulling from a third-party system. It's not a Microsoft CRM. And now I can interact with it. This isn't the cleanest looking AI. It's not like a Gemini or a Claude, but it works. And if you have someone set up for you, it's a very strong proponent. So I know we're getting close to time here. Does anyone have a question you want to try asking? I can't promise it'll work.
Can you write an agent that does a sales report like you did a minute ago, have it analyze it, and then actually have it go into the web to get economic data to see what's the justification for that rent, all in one report?
Probably, but I don't know how much that would cost.
Not the $30 bill.
Yeah, not a $30 bill. I mean, you could turn on that web filter on the agent that we showed in regular, right? And you could, but then it's going to look at all the web information. It'll be very specific, and then you have to make sure you're trusting that source that it's pulling from. So that's like if you wanted to build it in this kind of environment, you have to be very targeted about the sources you're doing. You have to train your agent, instruct it, and like these, like this is almost like an internal LLM in a way. Like if you're building your own private system. And this is the evolution, right, folks? We looked at Copilot in Excel to analyze a table. Great, simple, easy peasy. We looked at Copilot agents to analyze multiple files and help us get information. Then we looked at the full kit and caboodle of data science and data engineers and putting AI on top of that information.
Can you touch on like the AI tools, like in the studio specifically? What might be some use cases of that versus a specific focused agent? Like, why would you roll in an additional tool for an agent to use?
Maybe help me break that down a little bit more. Like, when you say like specific tools in the what do you mean?
So there's AI tools, I guess, you can build inside.
Yep.
They're just action items for
Correct.
agents to do. So
Yep.
just a specific, like an example of that.
Yeah, you could have it, all right, so we worked with a customer that had a process where, so this is Copilot Studio, and that's fully custom built like AI agent workflows on pretty much anything inside of Microsoft system. They have a process where they had researchers that they would intake like 200-page PDFs. So this was a research company, and Big Pharma wants to cite their research, right? So Big Pharma has to submit this PDF file to this research company and say, where are we citing this company's research? And the research company has an analyst, they go through, they look at each individual line item, they say this is our reference, this is our logo, maybe there's a presentation assigned to it, and then they have to manually mark up each individual section of that, review it, and then kick it back to that and say you have to remove this part from your presentations and your documents for your phase 2 clinical trial, right? Instead, they can use Copilot to analyze an incoming document, do all that redlining, all of that markup, call it out in the document, and then spit it back to that company automatically so they don't have to go through and have a team that does it. So they were able to cut their workforce from 6 people because this is a big research company, hundreds of requests a week that are analyzing all these documents to from 6 to 2 people. So that's one way you could think about it, but it always has to start with a question. That's where I tell companies is like, what's the problem you're trying to solve, right? Most of us here at Sales and Commissions, if you can get that data, if the data exists, you can probably automate it in some way. The only limitations you'll really face are if there's an API, can you extract it easily? If there's not, can you get it via Excel? If you get it via Excel, someone still has to put it somewhere in the Microsoft realm that you can reference it.
Would you have to have an API, or could you have it logged into sites that you have access to for factories, or would their security block that?
You probably need an API. Like, it's not just going to go to the site and look at it. You can get fancy, and again, like you're talking about solutions that are cutting edge, like webhooks and all that. Is that cost worth the time? Probably just easier to go in and press export to Excel and dump it into a folder.
Sorry, just go back to the before.
Sure.
You've got the web function activated on the agents.
Yep.
Can you have a web prompt ready, provide the link with that information, or is it
Yep. Yeah, you can ask it.
That way you can easily go quick and back.
Correct, yes. Good question. So let's just jump back quickly as we wrap up. That actually ends my demo. We have some more time. I'm happy to show some other Copilot features as it relates to data. Can you see my screen still? There we go. So just really quickly, we took a quick tour through what Copilot is. We went from basic chat to cleaning and analyzing real commission data in Excel, to building an agent to process multiple files, and then finally to what is possible when your data is fully cleaned and modeled in a tool like Microsoft Fabric. If there's one thing that I want you to take away with today, is that AI can make forecasting faster, but build clean data and make it accurate. And accuracy is really important. We don't want to go off bad information. And the real magic that happens is when you apply these tools to an actual workflow with real customers, real territories, real line cards, so that you can bring out this demo world into the real world. And I want to introduce our final second last slide is a recap of what we just covered. So when is good for what, right? Excel, it's simple, it's quick, it's easy. We saw how good it was for simple tasks inside a file, fast insights. You can ask it on an email with Copilot inside of Outlook. Not much setup needed. The limitation, as you noticed, is that it only understands that file that you're in. And then we moved on to the agent level. This is where it got more interesting. Agents could look at different sets of files across Microsoft 365. You can teach it your terminology and the way your team works. It's more accurate, more flexible, and something everyone in your org can reuse. You can share those agents with other people. Click the three little dots on it, press share, and then anybody can use that that's in your company that you share it with. The trade-off is that they do require a bit more structure, a little bit more setup. And then finally, we have Copilot Studio. This is that full-scale approach you said, pulling data from any system, applying machine learning components, which I'm not going to get into today because that's a lot of work and pandas and all that stuff, and then generating powerful forecasting and planning insights. It's its most scalable and most accurate when trained, but it does require Fabric expertise. It requires some data engineering understanding, table relationships, how do you connect via APIs, call on that data so that payloads don't go crazy, and it's shown with large data sets. And it has a cost to it compared to what you just saw with agents as well as regular Copilot Excel. So overall, this slide really just summarized the 3 levels of AI that we talked about when it comes to databases and automation. So I'm going to turn it back to Q&A. I know we've been asking questions, we've been going, but yes?
So is there any library or a resource out there for common agents that exists? So just an agent for email summary.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Something that's going to be applicable across. Yeah, like is there any way to just copy and paste and build something?
So honestly, I don't know if there's like a library. I know Microsoft Learn has some good stuff. You've never checked it out. But you can always ask Copilot that question, like what would be a good agent to help me do X, Y, Z with email, and then let it give you a response. And like, what are some instructions? And when you're talking to your Copilot to help you build that, say, I want you to have a dialogue with me. Like I want to have a conversation here about this. I don't want just a response. So there is some out-of-the-box agents here that can help you get started that Microsoft has pre-built. Like if I went to all agents here, you have research, you have analysts. Like if you're, it's not? Thank you. There we go. Back? All right. So if in the default agent section here, you do have your agents where you can see quickly built by Microsoft. So there's some app builder ones if you're building like custom things with Power Apps. SharePoint page agent, workforce. So this is where I would say you're probably going to get more of those templates that you're looking for, but probably not going to do exactly what you need to because again, they're purpose-built for your workflows. But researcher is a big one here, where you can go to your researcher agent. You can open this. I could say, help me create an agent for Outlook email consolidation. So what researcher is going to do for me, it's going to start with a dialogue. It's going to say, got it, what are you trying to do? Can you say agent, are you referring to an automated workflow like Power Automate? Great. So AI is assuming that I'm not talking about a Copilot agent, thinks I'm talking about Power Automate. So this already is helping me get a better basis of asking AI questions and interacting with it. Separately, one thing I didn't show, that's probably a good idea, is if you are in your standard chat here, and say you're just in like a normal workflow asking questions about email, I could be in the context of an existing conversation, and then I could mention an agent here, and ask it that specific question while I'm already working inside of the thread. So I'm doing maybe some research, asking some questions, oh, I need to escalate this because Copilot's not giving my response, let me just ask the agent in this existing chat. Yes?
Did you talk about something like that, if there's a report that's run regularly or a summarization about scheduling prompts?
We did not talk about scheduling prompts today.
Okay, that would be a great thing.
Yep. So there is ways to do schedule prompts, and we got a couple more minutes here. So I could say like, show me all unread emails from client X, right? So I would obviously define who this is, but there is ways you can automate workflows with scheduled prompts. And I know there are some other Copilot sessions here, so definitely check out Stephen Turner's. I mentioned that earlier. He'll be going through more generalistic stuff, using it in Teams. Some of this content, we did focus heavily on commissions today, but if I hover over this prompt that I have here, notice this schedule prompt button, so I can actually set it like a reoccurring meeting. Always give me this information on a certain day, and then at a certain time, so maybe when I begin my day Monday, help me catch up on my mailbox with these 10 things, or always like give me a summary of my activities with a certain client, and then have this fired off. Now, it will shut off after 15 runs, or how many you define it. You'll receive an email with that response, but it's not the actual reply, it's a link to the chat. So it's firing it off in a chat, and you're getting a link right to it.
You asked it something more specific, like, for example, if you had like 200 emails in 1 week or something, you forgot to respond to a couple of them, but you did open them, you say, can you show me all my unresponded to emails, basically?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, emails that I have not responded to, you could.
Okay, cool.
That is correct. And then that's where you can even get more complex with some like AI tools. Well, we actually, and that's where you can get more creative. Like one of our customers had us build a custom flow in Power Automate. That's Microsoft's like version of Zapier, where it actually scans all of his emails and pulls the metadata out of the message header with the person's name. It automatically creates them as a contact in Outlook. Then it writes when they last followed up via email, so when they last replied, and then he gets a report every 90 days when he has replied to somebody with a link to that email. We use SharePoint List as the database in the back end, and then we trigger it all through Microsoft Power Automate. So those are some of the things you can do with these technologies that you're probably paying for today. Some of it does require a specialist, but provoke it with a thought. Start with an idea, and then ask somebody like us, can we help you with that? And as we wrap up here, if you are looking for a free consultation, our company does cover all the Microsoft Cloud. Like I said, we are an implementation specialist. We are not here to sell you a subscription or a service. So if you want help with your websites, SEO, branding, we can consult or help you with a trusted partner. Microsoft Cloud, endpoint management, device management, data and intelligence, like I talked to you about, AI implementations, custom LLMs, Copilot agents, even ERPs, Power Automate, Power Apps, that data automation, and training consulting. We work with a couple of trusted partners in this space that can really help you get your boots off the ground when it comes to that. The last thing I'll say, if you want to contact us, stop by the booth. And if anyone's interested, I do have part of my team here. On the way out, they'll have a QR code if you want to enter our iPad raffle. We'll be doing that on Wednesday. You just scan the QR code, you get a ticket, and enter a chance to win an iPad.
Thank you.
No, thank you.